That's a great question. With the election year, is there a different strategy or dollar you would do? That will be interesting because historically in election years, costs will rise for advertising because there's so much damn spam. It's so annoying. But co expect costs to rise, and if they don't, that's great, but they likely will. So you might have to invest more to get the same return. But the goal is always to split test different ads. So the more you test different ad copies and images, that's where you'll figure out what's working better in your market. So we should always be testing. Like that never stops. For the longest time, I mean, my goodness, if you go back 5 years ago, I had clients. It's so funny because I had one of my clients wasn't really a tech savvy person, but he came to our Caribbean Adventure Mastermind. It was 3 years in a row. And the first year I helped him craft an ad campaign. It was like a simple direct response ad for low back pain. He let it run the entire year because it was working pretty well in his market in San Antonio for the entire year. So he comes back the next year. I basically recreated the same ad for him, duplicated some stuff, changed a couple things out. He did well for another year. He came back the next year. I'm like, look, I know this is working for you, but if you put a little bit more effort in, you could just blow this thing up even more so than what you're doing right now. It's just so funny that it was like that. But nowadays we have to split test a lot more than you had to 5 years ago. You could get away with running the same ad for who knows a year at a time. That's just it's not the case anymore. So we should be testing a bunch of ads at the same time and then analyzing, okay, this is performing better from the front end cost perspective. And then, okay, based on our average case value per patient that's walking in, what are we willing to spend to acquire a patient? Is it meeting that threshold? If it doesn't attract a new patient by a couple $100 in ad spend, all right, well, let's turn this one off. Meanwhile, we'll still have all this other content that's getting promoted that is creating goodwill in the marketplace or um, getting us looks so we can eventually retarget. That's another thing that most people are not going to do. Even in today's time, they still don't get it. They don't have delayed gratification, which is great for people like you and I. If you have ads that are out there just on social media, videos, testimonials, that you're not necessarily expecting anything in the short term, but you still got content that's going out, eventually we can come back around and target people that have liked, commented, watched our videos. That's called retargeting. And the bigger that audience gets, you can show them more stuff. That's why maybe many of you have seen my content over the years. Just like, oh man, Matt's everywhere. Yeah, yes and no. I do put myself out a lot on the ads. We always have content that's running out that way. But once you click a link, once you watch a video for a certain amount of time, you go to a website, you're cookied. And it's easy for us to show you more of my content. That's a strategy. And it works really, really well, especially if you play the long game, which most people won't. We want to get patients, clients, and customers, yes, right now. But if you play the long game, it's only a matter of time before the snowball turns into an avalanche and you become a local celebrity based on the fact that people are seeing you everywhere. So don't forget about that side of the equation.